understanding that one of the institutions would take on training people for positions of public responsibility.
In the same way, not like, yo, you want to run for office, but hey, do you want to become a public trustee, right? Or do you want to serve on, you know, the alumni association or something like that, right? Like, so we can, that would be cool. Cool. What are other ideas of things that we could be doing?
I do want to raise something, but we've had other people come in since we started, and we introduced ourselves at the beginning, so maybe we can ask the people who came in.
Ooh, we're going to put you on the spot. If you weren't here, if you haven't told us your name yet, you better tell us your name. What's your name?
Cisneros.
Great. Name, organization, and your town, actually.
Okay, I was born and raised in Mexico City, and I lived 1 year in Colombia before I came here. I've been here for 15 years, and I work for DPS now. The school of choice liaison there.
Great, great, great. Yep, hi.
Hi, I'm Lynn Rosales, and I'm currently employed with the Escuela Tlatelolco. And I was born in Pueblo and raised in Denver.
Great. Anybody else?
My name is Enrique Lopez. I'm a professor of science education at CU Boulder, and I'm from Fresno, California.
I am Susana, or Susie Osorio, and I am the bilingual recruiter at Community College of Denver. And I'm from the most wonderful country in the world, Ecuador, in the middle of the world.
Nice.
And
Chris Gutierrez, professor at CU Boulder, formerly professor at UCLA.
Great, great, great. Now we got even more profes and everything. So we were talking. So to catch you guys up, we had a conversation in terms of what the state of affairs are. Stuff's pretty bleak. There's lots of needs. We went and put stickies so you guys can see which are the things that we're most jazzed about. And now we're talking about solutions, not solutions that this should be done, but this is what the CLF and CLLARO specifically should do in 2013. Go ahead.
Well, I just had a question. So this document that we were given that sort of spun off the conversation, is this later part of the policy platform that's going to be voted on?
So that's
is there
actually,
one for education, one for immigration?
Yeah,
because if they all need work, which I think this one does, how do we go about that between now and then, or after voting maybe on the initial?
You raise a really great point. So what the process has been thus far has, you know, I think maybe 2 or 3 years ago, there arose the need to start to build the platform in and of itself, right? And so this has been the first stab that I think then went through one revision. And so the sheet that you saw here to begin this conversation was the product of what the conversations were from last year's policy summit, right? And so what's going to happen is we're going to take back all this information. That's why there's so much scribing happening, is actually last year there wasn't as much scribing happening, and so we lost a lot of the richness of the conversation, which is why we have electronic, written, and then the board paper, and now we're going to have the thing filmed. So in terms of process and what next steps will look like is we'll take this conversation back, and then staff and board of directors will then refine that back into another policy platform that we can then vote on.
By this afternoon or later? Because this doesn't vote at 2 o'clock.
Yeah.
I can add that an extra step that's going to take place is they'll be sending out an email to everybody who was involved in this session, inviting everyone to be involved in that process of honing the policy. So everyone will be invited in that process.
Okay. So does that answer your question?
Well, I mean, and I'm not overly hung up. I mean, my life is process. I'm a lawyer, but just what's happening with the vote on a policy platform this afternoon? Is it something different than this?
I'm actually, go ahead, board of directors.
I think it's actually a vote for the members of the board. It's not actually voting on the policy.
Can you clarify if there are committees that are designated to work on, conceptualize and work on these?
There's clearly regional groups, but that sort of makes sense to me that there's substantive committees as well on these main areas. Or is that TBD?
Yes, there are committees.
There are,
Right.
okay.
There are committees that work throughout the year, and then there are the regional groups there was a Denver regional group, Greeley one, Fort Coffin.
Colorado Springs.
Colorado Springs and so on, yes. But
And
there
so,
are-
yeah, and then, so part of what we're actually gonna end, and maybe Angelina, it would be great at this time to pass out those cards, since we're talking about it, would be to, if you're interested in helping to further hone, refine, and then put into action this platform, Angelina's gonna pass around, note cards. We're gonna ask for 3 pieces of information. 1, your first name and last name. 2, contact information, email address and cell phone or telephone number we can reach you at. And then 3rd, what your level of interest would be, right? Like, hey, I'm willing to be a member and be on your listserv, but that's about it. Versus, hey, I want to be part of the education committee and I have all these ideas about how to make it happen,
I
okay?
have pens too, so raise your hand if you need it.
Can you have a copy of the that you have around?
Ooh, no,
Yeah.
sorry.
Yeah.
Can you get a pen?
Did you get
I
one?
just did.
Oh, okay, thanks.
So I have another idea on something tangible we can try to do. And it could be possibly looking at different, I don't know if it's organizations or different funds that provide scholarships for Latino students in Colorado and looking how to support those organizations. Or if there's already a group out there providing support for student support programs or for other initiatives, like local initiatives on campus, figure out how to support them, whether it be go in with them on a fundraiser, provide information about them on the CLF website, figure out what, at first identify who those organizations are, and then have somebody within the CLF reach out to them to say, okay, we're saying we care about what you do on campus, what can we do within our scope to support you guys? Again, maybe it be posting that website of different student support programs on the education space of the CLF website. You know, just, it could be something little, but reaching out to those folks and seeing what they need.
So I put support, grow, and promote Latino scholarship programs. Are there other pieces?
I think along those same lines is that we need to consider what we could do with the school and just getting our kids to get interested and getting our kids there. I mean, I think we're kind of talking about giving them the support once they're at a university or a college, but what can we do at the high school, middle school level to provide that support? School counselors, advisors, I mean, they have like 100 to 300, 400 students. And so in terms of being able to provide some type of support system just to get our kids to college.
This is dumb, but this is something I don't know, actually. Is it required that, or is it, do schools put everything that they have in bilingual format for parents?
Yes, a lot of those.
Well, that's my contribution then. I think it should be.
The public schools?
I
Yeah,
didn't
they
think
have
required.
their communication. Each of the schools should have their communication.
That's a good
Yeah.
That's just my opinion. Go
I
ahead.
would like to add what Lynn said, support high school, excuse me, to get kids to go to school. But I think also we need to educate parents how important it is to send their kids to higher education as well. So,
We're getting back into the territory in terms of we need to do this, we need to do this. I'm talking about in terms of specifically what can the CLF do in this next year, okay? So let's get back to that, please.
I'd like to recommend kind of a long-term effort, but first, everybody should have received this in your packets. And on page 6, it gives a snapshot of some of the funding problems here in Colorado. For example, it says at the top of the page, I feel like I'm back in the classroom, but at the top of the page, it says in the bulleted area, the 5th item, ranked 48th in higher education spending per capita, but then look at the middle one, ranked 51st in special education funding. I mean,
Yeah.
51st, they must have added DC. But that's kind of an introductory to, this was your